Well, hi there everybody. Welcome back to the Motley Minimalist. Thank you so much for joining. Today we're going to talk about Christmas and all of the holiday things that are coming up. This is a topic that I know causes a lot of stress for a lot of people, and honestly that makes me so sad when I hear people stressed during the holidays because Christmas is so fun. I love Christmas, so even as I'm trying to simplify Christmas, I like to use the word simplify, not minimize, around Christmas because we're not minimizing it. It is my favorite time of the year. There's so much to celebrate, so I'm really looking to find ways to simplify the holidays just so that we can maximize how much we're enjoying it, so that we're not stressed, so that the house isn't such a disaster, so that the kids aren't so overwhelmed, because Christmas can be really overwhelming when there's just so much stuff coming from every direction. So today I want to talk with you about just a few tips that I have for ways to think about how you could simplify Christmas for your family. It can make it easier on your budget, on your stress, just making the holiday season a little bit more joyful. So tip number one, I would say think about your overall philosophy of parenting and kind of what you want your kids to be doing. Because I think a lot of times we fall into buying stuff for our kids because they maybe want it, or because we saw somebody else's kid got it, or we think that that's what kids should do, but maybe you don't want your kid doing that, or maybe you want them doing something else. So just, not that we're not giving them things that they want, not that we have to only give them the things that we want them to have, but taking into consideration, especially, with young kids too, maybe they're too young to even really have preferences. So really taking a minute before you purchase something. Marketing is just bombarding us all the time with ads and showing us a picture of a really happy baby with this toy, and you're like, oh, I want my baby to be happy, so here, credit card. But maybe your kid doesn't need that. Maybe that's not what you want them to have. So thinking about, for those of you with young kids, thinking about things like, do I want electronic toys? Do I want toys that only serve one purpose? Or do I want to focus more on versatile toys that kids have to think of what to do with versus the toy just doing it for them? So those are all good questions to think about. That's more related to toys. My kids are little, so I can't speak from personal experience about older kids, but I think it would apply with older kids too. What interest do they have that you want to really encourage them in? You're kind of setting the course for your year. Like, what do you want them to invest in? What would be things that would help them to reach the goals that they have? Just thinking a little bit more before purchasing, instead of just seeing something and saying, oh, they would like that, so I'll just get it. But just putting a little bit more thought and intention into what we are buying, just slowing down a little bit before purchasing so that we don't end up with a huge pile of stuff that's disjointed and that you maybe don't even really want in your house to begin with. So just make sure that you're only bringing things into your home that you want to be there. Next tip is find out what, if you have a lot of extended family that gives gifts, this might be obvious, but I think we forget to do this sometimes. Ask them, if they don't mind you asking, what they're planning to get your kids for Christmas. Just do a little research to find out what else they're getting, because if you have two sets of grandparents who just love to shower your kids with toys, maybe mom and dad should focus on other things, not toys. If you know that all the toys are coming from extended family, maybe focus on other things that your kids would also enjoy that aren't just duplicates, more of the same stuff that they're going to be overwhelmed with. And that just goes along with the idea of being intentional. Be intentional about understanding what all is my kid going to be getting so that I can choose the best gifts for them. Next tip is pick a theme. I think that this is really fun, and we're kind of doing this year. Is just sort of pick, everything doesn't have to fall under the theme, But if there's something that your kid or all of your kids are interested in at one time, maybe kind of run with that theme and even tell extended family, they're really into this. Let's kind of all figure out what we can get them that will go along with that. So for example, our kids this year, everything isn't gonna fall under this, but a big theme of this year is going to be gymnastic stuff. So my daughter's 5, my middle son is 3, and both of them are taking gymnastics this year. And our 5-year-old's really into it. So we and extended family are getting her some gymnastic stuff. So pick a theme like that and just kind of go with that to make it a little more cohesive and intentional. Maybe it's music, maybe it's arts and crafts, maybe your kids are really into art. Maybe it's sports, maybe you get a bunch of new sports equipment for your family to do together. But picking a theme can help you to focus more on what you're getting, to be more intentional with it, and it can help family members, extended family, if you want to tell them, hey, our theme this year is going to be sports. Like, here's a list of ideas, and it just can help people to get stuff that you actually want versus just stuff. And that way, you could suggest that to family, maybe tell them what you'll be getting your kids, and then they'd have some more freedom to kind of pick a surprise. I know people don't always like it when you tell them exactly what you want for yourself or for your kid for Christmas. But if you could tell them a theme and tell them, we're gonna be doing basketball, if your theme is sports, like you guys choose, what else you want within that genre of gift. Next, and this goes along with extended family often, would be group gifts. So I am a big fan of going in together with people. There's only so much that 15 or 20 bucks can buy. So maybe think about, could everybody pool together to get something really nice for somebody? Maybe it would be money better spent if all of you went in together to buy one big exciting thing for each kid, instead of just trying to purchase, a bunch of little $10 gifts. So I think that can make the same amount of money that you're spending really go a lot farther, instead of buying something cheap that's going to end up breaking, that's going to end up in the back of the closet, not being used. So just making sure that you're investing that money into something worthwhile. So I think group gifts are a great way to do that, because you probably don't have the budget to spend that much on each person. But if you can all work together, you might have less number of gifts, but they're going to be so much greater. And so that's another tip, going off of that, is emphasizing quality over quantity. And this is something that I am learning that we have done really poorly in the past. So my husband and I are terrible about going to bargain stores, and we just shouldn't go to bargain stores anymore, because things like Big Lots, Ollie's, places like that, we're terrible. We see all these cheap things and we're like, this is great. And our kids also are super into characters, like Disney characters, Nickelodeon characters. They love them. And so it's really hard for me when I see something that is $2 and it has Minnie Mouse on it. I just want to get it. But the thing is, those things are super cheap and they don't need 2,000 things with Minnie Mouse on them. And so that's a lesson that I am learning and still learning. And so what I'm trying to work towards is not allowing myself to buy cheap gifts like that. We have done Christmases where we get them all these little tiny gifts that they're fun and they get super excited about them. But where do they end up? They end up broken. We had one set of toys that were little character toys. They literally broke on Christmas. Like it's a joke. You should not do it. So all that to say, focus on quality over quantity. Your kids will be a lot happier. They don't need 50 gifts to open on Christmas. If they had 5 gifts that were nice and they loved and they were gonna last, I think that that's gonna go much farther. And really it's gonna help them focus on what they got more, yeah, all of the little things that you open are exciting, but are you really gonna even remember are they going to remember what they got, versus getting a couple of things that they love and they're super excited about and they're going to actually spend huge amounts of time doing. Finally, I recommend doing consumable gifts. If you're wanting to increase the number of gifts, I do love to have my kids have several things to open on Christmas. I just love Christmas morning. I love opening presents. I love watching them opening presents. I love stockings, but stocking stuffers are junk usually, So consumable things like my oldest is super into food, and my husband and I are super into food too. We love food. We love good food. We love special, she calls them special snacks. It doesn't have to be like candy. I don't want to give them a ton of sugary things. We try to eat really healthy, but there's a lot of things that, because we do stay on a small budget, there's a lot of snacky foods, special kind of things that she's had, or that both of them have had, that they love, but I don't buy them normally. They're more of a special treat kind of thing, even if they're not super sugary. So I am planning this Christmas for stocking stuffers and even for some wrapped gifts, just buying a lot of special foods, packaged foods. So I think that I'm gonna get them like some really fun, or not even that fun, but just like granola bar or like nut bars and stuff. Like my daughter loves the peanut butter chocolate chip Lara bars, which are healthy too, so it's great. But I don't usually buy them because she'll eat them so fast, and they're too expensive for me to keep up with her habit. So like I'll get her own box of 10 Lara bars that are just for her. Things like that. Little, special little chips and different things that we could put in the stockings and we can wrap up, and I know that they'll be super excited about that, just as much as the little cheap toy from Big Lots. And this way they'll eat it. I know they'll enjoy it. It will fill them up, especially if it's not super junky stuff. If I keep it kind of on the healthy side, it's just food. It can just be their lunch, So it's a little more money than I would typically spend. But it's being spent on something that I know will be used up. And then once they eat it, it's gone and it's done, and there's no clutter, there's no junk, cluttering up the playroom. So with older kids, it could be food, or it could be, maybe some kind of, for older girls, maybe some kind of a skincare thing, maybe, some nice lotions, a nice, face scrub, anything that's going to be used up that's maybe a little out of the ordinary, something that they wouldn't normally splurge on. Basically things that are splurges, and that'll look different for every family. Like I said, for me, it's just things like Lara bars. For another family, it might be something different, but just something that in your kids' minds, that when they see it, they'll think, oh, that's awesome. Like that's a special thing. That's not something I have every single day. Don't wrap up the food that they eat every day. Like I'm not gonna give my son an apple in his stocking, even though he loves apples. He'd probably be super excited. Maybe I will, but don't give them the food that they eat every day, because then it's like, Mom, you just got this out of the fridge, But buy foods or consumable products that they will really enjoy, and it'll be kind of a special thing that they don't have every day. So that's kind of what I'm going on this year, and my goal this year, at least from my husband and I to the kids, is no toys. We have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 6-month-old. Well, I might get the 6-month-old a toy, because we don't have very many baby toys around anymore, so she might get a toy. But for the older kids, I don't think we're gonna do any toys this year, because like I said, we're doing a theme. We're focusing on, everything won't be in that theme, but some stuff will. So focusing on quality, and I'm not going to let myself buy the little tiny dinky toys. So I'd love to hear what you think of these tips. I'd love to hear what your tips are for having a simple and intentional holiday. I hope that you all can enjoy time together, and that these tips can help you slow down, simplify what you're doing, and really enjoy the holidays more. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified of future videos.